Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Surprised you woke up. Surprised I woke up. Welcome to Paris. It's awesome. So we are here to talk about having a conversation with your customers. And here to talk about this are Zendesk CEO Mikkel Svane. Mikkel? And Bazaarvoice CEO Brett Hurt. And we're still waiting for Wendy from Get Satisfaction, but she should be here. Wendy Lee from Get Satisfaction. So if she comes, we will just have her jump in. Oh, cool. 3 on a couch. So it's a little bit cozy.
This is cozy.
All right. So let's start with you guys introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about what your companies do and why you feel qualified to talk about customer conversations online.
Sure. So my name is Mikkel, and as you can hear from my broken English, I'm from Europe. But Zendesk as a company is now based in the US. We're headquartered in San Francisco. And basically what we do is we provide you with a customer service platform on demand. It's cloud-based, and it helps you stay on top with all your customer conversations online through the channels that you communicate with your customers.
Great. I'm Brett Hurt. I'm the founder and CEO of Bazaarvoice. I'm actually in here from Austin, Texas, where our headquarters is. We also have an office here in Paris and London and Munich and Stockholm. Very happy to be here. Bazaarvoice is a platform for customer-to-customer conversations. It's software as a service. We actually power websites like Argos Homebase and Walmart and Best Buy. And when you see those customer conversations occurring in the form of things like customer reviews, that's actually our software. So we don't have a consumer brand, but we're much like Akamai in that you probably use this all over the web, you just didn't know it was Bazaarvoice.
So you're like the widget on websites.
Yeah, we're the software as a service platform on websites, powering that part. And in some cases now, that's 90% of their website. 90% now is user-generated content, up from several years ago where there was nothing on their site that was user-generated.
Mikkel, you are business to consumer, right?
Well, so our product, we provide our product to businesses. So it's businesses implementing our software. We have customers of all kinds of, in all industries. Here in France, we have La Poste and Libération using our service. We have a bunch of high-profile European customers. We have a lot of startups, including Groupon, Dropbox, Airbnb, and these kind of companies using Zendesk to provide great customer service to their customers. And their customers can be businesses, but it can also be consumers.
What's the difference between what you do and what Wendy does at Get Satisfaction? I've never figured this one out. Finally, I have you in front of me. Tell me. We used to be neighbors in the same building, and I still am not clear on what Zendesk does, even though you're gone now.
So Wendy, who's not here, who's still in the cocktail bar, provides a...
She's still at Sean Parker's.
Wendy provides with Get Satisfaction, they provide a support community. What we provide is a backend for your...
Platform. It's a backend platform for complaints, right?
We provide a backend platform for all your employees to engage with their customers. So when requests comes in, we can make sure that it gets routed to the right people in the organization and that they can deal with them within kind of the service windows and so on that you set up.
So I was in the car this morning with a VP from PepsiCo, who you're meeting with at 2, I think.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about Gatorade Mission Control. And for those of you that don't know, and I don't expect you to know, Gatorade Mission Control is an experiment that they're doing out of the PepsiCo offices in Chicago. And it's actually a glass enclosure in the middle of the office with 5 different people from 5 different parts of the company sitting and working in a transparent environment, looking at screens of customer conversations.
Sure.
And they've got someone from product, they've got someone from marketing, they've got someone from sales. They're really trying to get all, because it's, you guys understand this. So customer feedback is coming in, and it's usually coming into one part of the company. And that it's siloed from the rest of the company, so you're going to get the feedback, and yet people in product don't ever get to talk to the people that they're making products for, and people in sales don't understand what they're selling, essentially. So PepsiCo and Gatorade specifically is trying to get all of the different parts of a business talking and having a conversation about what the customer conversations are, and putting it in the middle of the office so everybody understands that that's mission control. That's #1 priority. So my question for you guys is, what is the value, if a big brand, if a big consumer brand like Pepsi is doing this, what is the value? Because there's clearly a value of listening to your customers and aggregating their conversations. Woo!
Hey, Wendy.
I want to sit next to her.
All right, feel free.
I was like, I swear I saw her at 6 a.m.
I know.
She's awake.
I'm awake and everything.
If you
Oh my
guys ever
gosh,
want to
okay.
have fun, go
Right.
to the
Now we're-
breakfast
now
at your
we're really
hotel
close,
at
Casey.
5:30 a.m. You meet the coolest people.
Okay, we've officially ignored
We're
the
4
other
on a
couch.
couch. This is so cozy.
So would you like me to answer your question?
Well, Wendy, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll repeat the question
Sure.
for everybody.
Sorry, I was deep into another interview. I apologize. About me, I'm the CEO of Get Satisfaction. I've been with Get Satisfaction since the spring of '09, having a blast. Love our
Clearly.
business. Sorry, in France. What can you do? Get lost. Enjoy yourself.
So what does Get Satisfaction do?
Get Satisfaction, customer engagement platform, helping companies and customers come together, build stronger relationships. 60,000 customers, 3,000 paying, solid business.
Awesome. So I was just saying that Pepsi has devoted a part of the Gatorade offices in Chicago to listening to customer feedback, like systematically processing it and letting it and filtering it throughout the whole hierarchy of I don't know, business sectors, whatever that is. I'm glad I amuse you. Something in a business. For those of you that you don't know, I'm a huge fan of enterprise software. But my point is that Pepsi is devoting these hardcore resources to processing the conversation, and so clearly there's a value. And my question was, what is the value, and why do you think it's increasing?
So, okay, I've been in the customer service industry for 5 years, and what I've seen over the last 5 years is that, like 5 years ago, your support center, there was a cost center, and you had terminology like customer deflection. So it was all about keeping your customers away from your company, basically. Once they bought something, keep them away because it's only trouble. I think now companies are more and more realizing that it's the long-term relationship with the customer, it's a total life value of the customer that is important to invest in. And that's why kind of the customer service operations, the customer engagement operations have become revenue centers in organizations and are increasingly...
Yeah, you guys, we're being told that we can't be 4 on a couch.
Okay, all right. I think
We need to be 2
maybe it's
and 2.
making for bad video.
Bad TV.
Boring.
Sorry to bore you, audience. Go on. Value of engaging your customers across business segments?
Yeah, so now it's increasingly valuable for, or it's increasingly important for companies to embrace their customers, understand them a lot better, build that relationship that is so difficult to do today when everything is online. You know, meeting somebody, shaking their hands, like when you shook the hand of Sarkozy, now you have a relationship with him.
I did shake his hand.
Yeah,
I did.
exactly.
We do have a relationship.
And you will, if you could, you would definitely vote for him the next time. And that's the kind of that's the kind of relationship that companies are looking to have with their customers.
So one company that reminds me of is Dell. Dell has a new social listening center, and Michael Dell himself kicked off the opening of it. And it's a command center where they have everything from the product reviews and questions and answers that we're powering on the Dell site to social listening where they're going and grabbing it out from Facebook and Twitter. And it's incredibly powerful. I mean, one of the things that Dell's been able to do is when they first launched, they found that they had a 3.7 out of 5 average rating for their products. And their head of products, who has 1,000 people on his team worldwide, said, I'm going to get to a 4.5 out of 5 star. And his team said, how? And he said, well, it's the first time in history where word of mouth is digitally archived, so we actually know exactly what our customers are saying to each other about our products. And he took me out to lunch to celebrate when they made that goal exactly on time in 15 months. And now, every time they launch a product in that command center, they look and see exactly what people think of it, and it's below a 4, they'll actually kill the product in a very short period of time. So it's very transformational. It's the first time in history where you've got this kind of direct input, and I think that's the beauty of it, is that you know, all of these executives, all of these leaders in product and marketing are rediscovering the voice of the customer. Which,
well, Dell was reactionary, right? Wasn't it a response to Jeff Jarvis's Dell Hell?
No, it wasn't. I mean, that was actually early on. That was more about the decision to outsource the call center to India, and there was a negative reaction to that, and that's what Jeff Jarvis was on, and they actually reversed that decision.
Based on customer feedback.
Based on customer feedback and Jeff Jarvis, yeah.
But so this has always interested me. Aren't you basically, because the idea of the online space as a marketplace and as a place where anyone can be heard is really liberating, right? Well, yesterday, Jeremiah Oyang's social media marketing expert, I guess, brought up this interesting idea. Aren't you basically giving your customers a right to be whiny brats or bitches? Like, aren't you giving your customers like a platform just to whine and scream and be on Twitter and @reply you and say, why didn't you answer my phone call in a minute? Or why aren't you giving me free Pepsi? Or like, I want an upgrade on my, aren't you just like unleashing a Pandora's voice of complaints?
Well, I mean,
Pandora's box of complaints.
Wouldn't you want to know that? I mean, we want our customers, our companies, to have an opportunity to listen, to engage, so we can respond and have others help too. I think that's the power of what's going on. I mean, I've been in customer relationship management for a long, long time. I don't think there's ever been an opportunity like we have today to really understand our customers. And if you're building a business, as we are, at different stages, I mean, it's what drives the next everything, the next marketing campaign, the next product cycle. It should. And if it doesn't, then you're really not taking advantage, in my view, of the #1 growth opportunity we have, and that is social growth.
So what's the best way, I want to hear all 3 of your answers on this, what's the best way to deal with negative feedback?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all,
Use our product.
Yeah, you have to, well, let's just frame it by saying that worldwide, because we track this worldwide, Bazaarvoice is in 21 international languages now on multiple dialects, and so we actually benchmark this by country, and worldwide the average is a 4.3 out of 5 star. That means 80% of product reviews are 4 or 5 star. So people mostly are saying positive things. Now the thing in a 5-star review is a lot of times people say, gosh, I really wish you made it in this color. LL Bean, for example, found that people kept on saying that about a certain set of sweaters, and they produced the additional colors people wanted as a result of 5-star reviews, and they doubled their sales of those sweaters. If you get a negative comment, which you will, I mean, it is an average, it's really a gift at the end of the day. Because people will tell you exactly, well, they're telling each other exactly what you need to do to fix that product. And we've seen that when our clients react to that, they can dramatically reduce returns. And actually, Williams-Sonoma, for example, stopped using 3 of their vendors as a result of this type of commentary because they found out why they had high returns in these products, and they didn't know. They never had that source of ground truth before. So you're sitting on, I think, the most valuable data asset in the history of commerce. I mean, this is the actual representation of ground truth. This is what we've been trying to get at through surveys, through focus groups, but now you actually have the power of knowing.
But how do you filter the noise? Like after my talk or my interview on Monday, like all the Twitter comments were like, Alexia is pretty vacant, or Alexia is, oh God, or great interview, or your voice is too loud, or it was just all different, and I didn't know where to start. I'm like, I basically have to be a different person.
Well, that's the analytics
that's
opportunity.
What they want.
I mean, that's
my customers want me to be somebody else.
That's why analytics matter in this. There's a vast volume of data out there. We've served to date 260 billion impressions of customer-to-customer conversations. It's a lot of information, and you have to have analytics in place. That's why these things like these social listening centers, like you heard at Gatorade, are being established so that you can filter through and get to the heart of what the customers are saying and do something about it as a business.
Well, in your case, it's not necessary that you want to do something about it. That's basically up to you as a business.
Well, I've had feedback before, and it was good feedback. I had feedback like, stop giggling so much. And I stopped, and I didn't get that feedback anymore.
I think you should start giggling some more.
Yeah,
Depends on what panel you're on. Not giggling, trying to not to giggle. Okay, pass. And so I listened to that because it was from a peer, right? So do some customers have more value?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. Of course. But I think good, negative feedback, negative feedback, you got to embrace it all. And you need to figure out how to learn from it. So I think one of the capabilities that we provide is like every time there's a bad satisfaction rating, every time somebody's not happy with your service, we surface that information on our YAML, our intranet.
Yeah.
And that just gives a company-wide acceptance and understanding of what's going on, and everybody's on it, to see it can be a whiner, but it can also be somebody with very valuable feedback that we can incorporate in our product, incorporate in our processes, or incorporate in our company culture.
But in terms of businesses, I agree. I mean, it's the analytics. The analytical tools are very sophisticated these days, and it allows you to understand the reputation of certain customers, if they have a pattern of doing this, if they have a propensity to buy more. So that, for now, all businesses have that opportunity to really understand. At the end of the day, though, this economic environment we're in really dictates a different level of transparency, a different level of openness. And we experience that in our businesses. And even here at LeWeb, I mean, there's candid, open, here's what's working, here's not. I mean, no one's kind of hiding behind thinking they have the perfect business, the perfect product, the perfect anything. So I think more and more that is the norm. And so maybe it wasn't in the past, and so we were kind of freaked out because we were all control freaks, and now we know control is an illusion, and so we have to just go with it and accept it and work it the best we can. And if we can't solve all the problems customers have, we say gracefully, thank you for that feedback. We're unable to make that change until the next quarter. Sorry that has an impact on you. But not responding, ignoring, but that doesn't mean you have to be schizophrenic with your product roadmap or your own image. Right? I don't think that's required. I think it's more of an acknowledgement that it exists. And that's the right way to do business, don't you think?
With one more point on this. So it's not like customers weren't already talking to each other negatively before the advent of the web. It's just that nobody knew what they were saying, and so they were trying to get at it through focus groups, through surveys. But all of those mediums weren't great because they were biased by default. People were paid to be there. And so you have, for the first time in human history, word of mouth, which has always been with us. It's been with us since the beginning of the tribes. Where's the hunting good? Where's the fishing good? How do I not get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger? And so now you finally have this information. And we're just now at the very beginning of understanding what to do with it. PepsiCo is just now setting up the social listening center. My daughter's 7 years old. She's going to grow up this way, marketing and merchandising is just going to naturally incorporate this, and this is going to be in every textbook. I mean, this is going to be what she studies. She's going to say, Dad, how the heck did you make decisions before having this information? I'm going to say, well, we did the best we could, but it wasn't that great. It's
a monumental shift, like with Jawbone, right? So Jawbone launched these ups, right? And I would say about 30% of them, I'm just making up a number, 30% of them didn't work from just watching Twitter and watching Facebook and word of mouth and people whispering. Like I had a friend of mine be like, I'm like, I want an up. She's like, don't buy one, they don't work. I heard people talking about them in the elevator. They're really buggy. And so you'd get this, there was a whisper campaign, right? I think it's lovely, and despite listening to complaints about them, I went and bought one and got one that worked, fortunately enough. But they seriously didn't work, and people were talking about it. It was on Twitter, but the press started to write about it. There was a Gizmodo article that said, why up is amazing, but you shouldn't buy one. I wrote a post on it, and I heard from someone at Jawbone, they're like, oh, we know you, you wrote that blog post. I'm like, we just had a meeting about it. And I'm like, ooh, they're having a meeting about bloggers. And I heard that they were having conversations about people talking about the product's severe flaws. And normally, like when I was still in college, companies were not fast responding to your complaints. What Jawbone did was stop their launch yesterday. They stopped the launch, stopped producing products, put out a letter. I got a letter in my email from Hossein, and everybody did, not just special bloggers, but like every person who had bought it up, saying that they were stopping the product, they were going to focus on the flaws, and relaunch when they had figured out what was wrong. And it's terrifying, I think, to listen, to hear the whispers, to be overwhelmed with negative feedback, and to respond. But the value add of your response is huge. I would buy a second up, right? I can't wait for them to fix the problem. I would recommend them to a friend. I know that they care. So my question is, you have all this data out there, right? How do you make sure that that data flows throughout? You have all this data about what your customers are saying. How do you make sure that that data goes through all departments of a company rapidly enough to respond in time to still win your customer? Because if they had waited a month or not done anything, I would be part of the whispers in the elevators.
But the problem is, the problem isn't really to get everybody's attention to it. Now, if it's out there on Twitter, if it's out there on the blogs, every employee knows about it. So it is up to the company to react to it and figure out how to best react to it and making sure that you have all the information available. But today the problem is not how to get the information that I think we just talked about. It's not how you obtain the information. The information is that the fact is that the information is out there in vast, a lot of it, and you have to, as a company, it's an exercise to react to it and embrace it and have a company culture where you execute on the criticism and on the customer feedback. So I think the company culture of the future is an execution culture on customer feedback.
Right. Customer service, new marketing, right? Being able to respond, not overdo it. But again, it's not getting the information. It's just being, I think, systematic and graceful in responding over time and not letting it sit there. I think the biggest problem sometimes is just letting it sit there, right? And not, having some communication plan. I mean, this, in some ways, is PR 101, right? You just have better tools to do it with. You
have to codify the data to departments. So I'll give you an example. LL Bean, when they first launched, they had a pair of boots, one of the top-selling pairs of boots. And it was a 4.5 out of 5 star. And within a week, it crashed to 2.5 out of 5. Well, the way our data is codified in our analytics is we shot an email off to the boot category manager and said, hey, you need to pay attention to this. This is a problem. He went back to the stock room. He found that the 2,000 pairs they'd reordered were all mismanufactured with a real fit issue by the supplier. Now, that would have normally taken LL Bean 3 months to find out. They would have had a massive amount of returns. It would have had brand damage. They were able to find that out in a couple of days. So that's the power. All the economists talk about how technology will lift efficiency. I think that word of mouth online will lift efficiency more than any other medium in history when it comes to marketing and merchandising and product development. And we're just now at the very beginning of seeing that play out.
So is the age of top-down marketing over? Can you no longer come up with this grand message and force it down your customers' throats?
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, if you're a CEO of a company, you're responsible for positioning, understanding how your capability aligns with segments you're going after. It's just the distribution of that message that's so different. And it's tapping into that which works, right? And you get feedback on that too. So it's not a cram down relative to messaging, but it is a way, there's so many different channels and ways to get it out now and to get feedback when it's not right. I mean, you're constantly iterating, making changes to that. I think marketing is important as always. It's just the way it gets developed, don't you think? And the way you understand it. I don't think it's less
if you
important.
look at Steve Jobs
Right.
And how much of a showman he was when it came to launching products, well, he actually did a very good job, or at least their ad agency did a very good job of listening to ground truth. And the ultimate example of that, in my mind, was the PC versus Mac campaign. The reason
that ad agency is Sade. I feel like there's the gratuitous Jobs reference on every panel. Everyone's like, Steve Jobs. Sorry, too soon.
So I mean, but think about that
Just
campaign.
like Steve would say.
That campaign was based on ground truth. So it was the actual conversations people were having about PCs and having about Macs. So I think advertising of the future will be rooted on the real, as opposed to trying to make you think that you're going to drive this small car like a Ferrari around windy roads. That's just not reality. So I think it's going to be based on authentic truth as opposed to fantasy.
So what do you guys think about this panel? Come on, customers. Let me hear your voices. Cool, thumbs up, thumbs down, meh.
I think we should talk about engagement a bit and really what that means. It's a word in our industry that gets bandied around a lot. Jeremiah talks about it. I mean, and I've thought a lot about this engagement concept. Like, what does that mean relative to customers being happy, buying more, and telling others? And it's the online word-of-mouth experience that gives brands, companies, products, services any chance to really engage. But to me, it has an emotionality attached to it, which is what the web is all about. So if you have somehow hooked into this, you use the term ground truth, this emotionality of a customer, then you have a chance to engage. And I think that's what companies of all sizes need to think about, is just what does that emotionality look like? How does that get extended?
Delight, actually. It looks like delight.
Okay, then.
That's what Marissa Mayer said. She said,
delight.
Ask
Maybe.
my product managers what delights you, because you need to delight customers.
Well, the reason I use this emotionality word, because I think it goes to the negative as well as the positive, right? And so that would say that negative isn't bad, because if I have a reaction that's less than favorable and I feel hurt as a result, then I'm connected to you. And I think that's what we need now to grow our businesses, is a deep connection, which is an emotionality connection to the brand, to the product, to the service, because then I tell others.
How does emotionality scale, though?
That's called the web. It's called
Yeah,
mobile. It's called Facebook.
Come on.
I mean, honestly.
That's
All right, how do you think
Facebook-
mobile has changed the landscape of these conversations?
Yeah, it has. I mean, these conversations now are much more prevalent. When we started Bazaarvoice,
I agree.
Facebook was closed to the public, Twitter didn't even exist, and there was no iPhone or Android. And so now there's a massive explosion in these conversations, and that's allowing ground truth to express itself even more, and therefore for people that react like Gatorade, and it is a reaction because you have to be listening. You have to listen first to actually take part in a conversation. You can't just show up at a conversation and jump right in completely off context.
Yeah.
And so brands are listening, and consumers are going to win as a result.
And I think the impact of Facebook and mobile for, again, companies of all sizes, then you have to be where your customers are. Now, people use that phrase a lot. Lots of companies say that. But that is really true. That means you have to be on a mobile platform. You have to be in the social systems. You have to take advantage of the social web. You have to bring that into your applications of record inside the company. But there's a big responsibility, not just B2C companies, all companies, to be where your customers are, be wherever they're interacting.
Great. So I think we've got 6 seconds. Anything you want to say? Any questions?
How do we make enterprise software less boring?
I want it to be more fun. Why do you not like enterprise software?
Why do I not like enterprise software? I think because it doesn't have that emotionality. They don't do a very good job. Somebody said, "Don't you know that iTunes is run on SAP?" I'm like, I didn't know.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I know.
I'm the type
I could talk to these people all day.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you guys. It was awesome.